into it. And we'll look at our Kree Masters works for me. And you were able to see my screen, yes?
Yeah, I see everything.
Perfect. Okay, so you're walking out of here. Things we're thinking about. We've got ourselves some dive tanks. Doomfist, okay, works for me.
Enemies detected.
Sure, cross replacement makes some degree of sense. Okay, Winston's already fed a little bit, so we need to fall back and do a defensive concave of sorts. Fine. I mean, oh, sorry. Much longer rewind than we wanted there, but that's okay. We'll just counter jump it. So you're doing this. You're doing this. Not a huge deal. You're doing this again. Okay. After you just did a combat roll, do we need to reload here?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Okay. Like, yes, you're behind cover, but I'm not at all convinced nothing's going to jump on you, and I'd like to reopen this angle with 5 ammo. That's perfectly fine. I'd have opened it right where you did over here on the right, but we didn't want to spend time waiting for a reload there. Okay. You're working in a little bit here. Sure. Going to lead us to something pretty similar, where here we go. We're applying our pressure. And again, that combat roll into a 5 ammo reload there, which is something we're going to want to keep an eye on. Sure. The reality is this one was going a little tough against us. There's not a ton of space to work with. We lost our Winston early. You were trying to push up and do a lot here. You were trying to do a lot here without a ton of awareness of what the pressure looks like in the rest of the fight. So what I'm going to comment on here is you're fighting over this. And this, I don't actually consider this. I know you're trying to create off angles here because you just talked about how you've been trying to do more of that. But this is kind of the place that the first fight happens over, right? Like, this battle frequently happens over this mega. This is frequently the first part that happens. It is nice that our supports tuck themselves away over here, have a little bit of a different spot, but we don't want to be too much pulling a ton of attention to us when no one else is doing anything too distracting. We can go in now because people are probably looking at Doomfist for a moment, but in general, we're getting pretty aggressive here. I don't hate it or anything, but I don't really see a huge push, or, I don't see enough pressure that's really making me want to go too hard here. Fine, we do this. He comes back. Ultimately, I don't have too much issues here. My bigger stuff, rather than the pressure, most of this, again, is coming from the Winston going down early, is going to be in the realm of, hey, Genji. Okay, we can do some Genji.
Oh wait, I think. Oh yeah, this is a different code.
You want it?
I mean, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't want to go over my Genji. I play Genji a lot, but not on my main.
Sure.
I don't play high-level
Sure.
Genji. I think we should go to the third point.
Works for me.
Because, yeah. This is just my confusion. I've played a lot of games today.
Totally fine. You're in it's all run together territory, which is perfectly fine. Go a little bit back here.
I mean, still, it's about you saw the ammo, right?
Yep.
I need to maximize my output with the ammo I have.
Well, it specifically looks like you have a habit of going roll to safety, fire a shot, and then go behind cover, and then be like, I need to reload again, which is like, no, I don't want to give up that much time. You might need to roll behind cover. You might spend a shot as you're, closing that last moment behind cover, but you probably would go, hey, I rolled to cover, like I'm here, I'm shooting. I roll the cover, fire my last shot. Rather than reloading, I can be here and take my next shot. I don't necessarily immediately want to repeat this, but I can be here and take my next shot. And that was an option both of those times that you did that, right? Like, it's a piece of cover that you can get to the other side of before your reload would be over. So we don't really want to spend the time reloading, right? Okay, cool. Okay, so you've set yourself up. You've got the Hogarissa Doomfist. Works for me. Sure. Good. You're still fine. She can't actually threaten you here. Yeah. So I mean, you would have known because you were the one who got this mega previously that this mega isn't available. And you can close this angle if you want. But the reality is you want to be roughly here where your team can't support you. You want to play this lane a little bit shallow since you spent flash and didn't get the Tracer with it. And Tracer knows that she's stronger than you. You're right. You just play this a little bit shallow where your supports can see you, where she's going to have a tough time forcing it. Come back out here now that we're close to having cooldowns again.
Taking the point.
I mean, you can do this. This puts some pressure on them, don't get me wrong. But you tell me, is it more valuable to threaten an elimination here or to turn some heads?
So my idea was that everybody was fighting there, so I wanted to take a lot of attention here by shooting, and then I saw I can just start capping and take even more attention by forcing someone to move, not only Luke.
Yeah, so I get that, but I think you can threaten lethal. Like, I'm looking at this, and here's the thing. D.Va's still got no idea you're here. Winston has no idea that you're here. I'm going to show this to you one more time. Here you go. Okay, I would love to take out the Anna. Anna's paying attention to you. That's a little annoying, but you can tuck here. You know, which is going to be more valuable? Just chunking D.Va or threatening lethal on Tracer? You know, like I look at this and go, yes, you can put pressure on point. That helps. But I'd rather, if these people aren't paying attention to me, actually go and try to take them out rather than do this. Once you do this, you're sort of going to alert to them that you're here. And maybe you're thinking, Anna already knows I'm here. Tracer already knows I'm here. So there's no one that I can really surprise that I can get a sightline on. But going here, I don't think you're going to cap this, and I think now you're going to get more people's attention turned to you, which helps the rest of your team push. But here's the thing, you basically still had a fresh angle that a ton of people weren't ready to pay attention to you on, or the people that were paying attention to you couldn't really threaten you at. So you could do a fair amount of work before they adjust it. Now they're going to adjust faster to this and either take cover against you or come deal with you, when I really would have preferred that you actually use the fact that you can threaten lethal with 2 to 3 shots and try to get a pick. Does that sort of make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay.
So, like picking the Ana on top, like trying to headshot her twice or something?
He's already paying too much attention to you. Like, you do this, and she immediately looks for a sleep dart, so she's paying too much attention to you. You take a shot at the Tracer, but the Tracer has no idea that you're there. Maybe that was meant for the D.Va instead. But I'd look at this, and I'd go, can I get the Tracer? Or can we just destroy the D.Va? Like, if you put 2 shots into the D.Va before she can react, which you can realistically do, she's probably going to lose her mech because you're not going to be the only one shooting at her. Or if you pick the Tracer, you can take out the Tracer in 2 shots. This is really what I'm going for, whereas when you adjust to here, they're going to become, this is going to cause them to become aware of you before you've had the chance to, like, looking at Cassidy as an example, you didn't have the option to shoot at Cassidy before you were here, but Cassidy is now going to become more aware of you because you're capping this point than he would have been if you just, say, opened a shot on him.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're much more likely to win the fight if you just pick the Cassidy than if you turn 3 people, and turning 3 people causes your teammates to be able to push in. You sort of see the difference I'm looking for? If you'd fired from here a little bit and hadn't gotten anything done and they started taking cover against you and all you'd done was chunk them a little bit, no big deal, then go on to the point, and now you're putting more pressure on them, and that's great. But I would like to try for my pickoff first, because you sort of, again, Anna could be calming to her team that, hey, Kree left, whatever. He could be doing that. She could be doing that, but she's probably not, if we're perfectly honest. And you still have like 2 to 3 more shots that you can get off before this team really adjusted to you being here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Just the surprise aspect.
Exactly. Your angles are most powerful. You're most likely to get a pick when your angle is fresh, is basically what's going on here.
And
you're
it's
sort of
the easiest to aim.
Right. And you're sort of spoiling your angle by doing this.
Yeah, here I think McCree makes a mistake and I 1v1 him and win it.
Oh,
but
he
that's
just
based
rolled
on
in?
his mistake.
Yeah.
I rolled into him.
Yep.
That's just his mistake. So.
Yep, his mistake. You take advantage of it, and now you'll pressure D.Va out. I mean, I hope you'll pressure. Okay, you'll fight her instead. Well,
Here it is.
okay. So a couple things go wrong here. One of which is, hey, the right answer was, you know what? Diva's got this aggressive position inside of our team, but she's not protected from me. I'm happy to shoot her. In general, we're going to reduce the damage, the pressure that our team is under, if we make a habit of shooting at the person on the other team who has the most aggressive angle on our team. And if we look at this from our team's perspective, who has the most aggressive angle? Let's go bird's eye on this. You know what? Let's even go. Who has the most aggressive angle on our team right now?
I mean, yeah, Diva.
Right. It's Diva or Tracer, and it's probably Diva given where Zen is. So we would like to make Diva leave, all other things being equal. Now, hey, there's other factors that go into this, but that's really what we're thinking about. That's really what we'd have liked to do here. Instead, Brig went to point. You decide, hey, I want to deal with Brig. I can potentially deal with wanting to deal with Brig, but even if this happens, like, I probably just wasn't willing to go in and challenge her. If I was going to go in and challenge her, I was going to do it here, as much as that sucks, where my back is to safety, and I really wasn't going to, I probably honestly wasn't really going to challenge her until I had combat roll back, because I look at combat roll. This is unfortunate. If we take this fight 2 seconds later, any sort of boop off, maybe we've got a prayer of getting back on. But hey, we'll deal.
It's also that I jumped, right? You don't jump. Right?
No,
There's
you
a
don't
threat of
jump.
booping.
You don't jump because you lose a lot of your directional control there.
Yeah,
This life's never an event.
You're looking at the ground an awful lot there. Okay. Oh, you're spraying. Fine.
It's just that when I go to the fight, I was probably not even holding my mouse.
Yeah, no, I just would prefer, my preference in most of these situations would be as you're coming out here, you're holding your crosshair at head height right here. And then, you know, as you round the corner, it's at head height right there. And then as you round the corner, you know, like I'd constantly sort of like it to be where opponents could in theory show up. It's just like, hey, you're going to, again, you're okay. Their Tracer and Diva are eliminated right now. No one's going to show up on you here. Your team won the last fight, so it's unlikely someone is going to show up right over here. But it would be super annoying if Hanzo showed up here and you lost the duel because you were looking at the ground and you were just slow to get that first shot.
Yeah, it's about maximizing things.
Yep,
right?
exactly. And at this point, like, I don't know what that is. Maybe you're expecting someone to be walking down main, but your crosshair isn't quite at the right height for someone walking down main. I don't love this. Okay. Sure.
Actually, with McCree, is this a good position? This high ground is not that strong, right?
It's not the strongest high ground in the world, no. It's usable. I'm not hating you being here. I'm not hating the fact that you can go, hey, I'm going to make the monkey or the diva use a cooldown to get on me. It's not the worst thing in the world. I'd look at their team, and I'd honestly probably be a little bit more interested in, hey, should I be controlling over here? It's going to get you a little bit more, hey, I'm not letting Tracer through to my backline. I've got a little bit of an off angle. I can enforce this enclosed space a little bit better with my flashbang while still having decently long sight lines. I'd prefer this if my team is setting up here, but this isn't some terrible place to be. And it becomes a little bit better still if the opponents have, you know, the pharmacy, the echo, something like that, where you're going, hey, I need to put a little more pressure on that. But this is okay. It just could be a bit better.
Yeah, so Hanzo.
You got Hanzo. I'm not worried about it. Like, you were a little far from cover initially, but you got behind cover, and then you just went down to a Hanzo when you repeaked it, and I'm not terribly worried about you repeaking it. We could talk about, oh, was there Sonic Arrow? Oh, can he see you? Oh, could you have waited until your team threatened a little bit harder? But I'm not terribly concerned.
He didn't have Sonic. I remember this death.
Yep.
Because I think back on my deaths, and this was just him seeing me through the
Yep. The grading.
wood. Yeah.
Good? Sure?
Just what the doctor ordered.
Fine, we're doing enough. Not doing quite enough just because our teammate was able to lose it during this.
Yeah, they pushed me.
Yeah, no, this isn't a huge deal, but like this was the right idea where you're here. You're going, hey, let me chunk them as hard as I can. You're getting good damage. We do this, we reload. You're maybe a little slow to get headshot damage. Takes you a couple shots before we get that forced out. But you're doing what you're supposed to here. You've chunked their diva hard enough that she had to spend her self-destruct. You forced out Fortify from the Orisa. You've basically pulled both of the tank's attentions. You've pulled a lot of resources out of them. Yes, we'd have preferred a pick, but hey, this is how we're supposed to be taking this fight. This is good value. It's really not on you that your team managed to get themselves eliminated to the self-destruct. Like, nothing you can do about that, and so we're okay with this. I don't really have a huge amount of need to do this, so we go like this. Okay, fine. This is okay. I'm pretty much immediately ready to re-peek and see what's going on, or at least I want to look through the grading. And I see through the grading. The grading is giving me enough information that these guys are still pushing me, not Roadhog, yeah? So what should you be doing right now?
I mean, retreating, yeah.
Yeah, you should just be kiting out further. Instead, you go here, you see this? No, we're definitely kiting out. We're definitely kiting out. We definitely need to be kiting out. And we just kind of get stuck. And that's not a big deal, but this was exactly what we want. So I know angles are somewhat new to you, how much, we obsess about angles. But this is a pretty common maneuver where if you apply a bunch of pressure, like you did, from over here, they're going to start respecting you more. They're going to go, we don't like that. They're very likely to either pay attention to you and start looking at you, so you close the angle like you did, or start walking at you. And if they start walking at you, ideally, your hog is going to walk in and hit them more, jab them in the side, whatever, as you kite out. So you just have to be a little bit more prepared for that. And honestly, when you're sustaining on these off angles like this, where did you use your combat roll?
You get more damage in.
That's fine. Yeah, that's totally fine. That combat rule is totally fine. You're getting enough done, but we basically just have to see through this grading that they're walking at us and back off. It basically has to happen.
I looked right to see about my team, and then when I was looking back, I wasn't thinking about them.
Yeah.
I was thinking about my team.
All good, but you could see, you could easily have been behind this cover, and if you get behind this cover, you're going to live for at least another 2 seconds. And Hog is doing exactly what he should be doing, of pushing in as you're pulling. Oh, what do you know? 3 people are coming after you. I don't care if these guys eventually get you. Every additional second that you live is time that these guys are going to find eliminations, right? Cool.
Yeah, I think I also need to remember the more value I get in an off angle, the more likely it is they will chase me, right?
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
need to anticipate it.
Yep.
I've got unfinished business.
Okay. This time your crosshair being low was worse than it was before. You did not win the last fight. These guys had the ability to push up and hold space a little bit more. So your crosshair being down there will, eventually lose you a duel like 1 time in 20. But that's fine. Okay. You're dreaming.
Yeah.
I mean, I too would like my right. I too would like my Orisa to live, but like, there's just no way that this works.
I forgot my comp.
At least it's not a valuable ult. We're okay.
Got unfinished
Yeah.
business.
So you're gonna rip path through. Oh no, you're gonna path left because you see Doom high. That's fine. I'm okay with this. This is pressure to help your team rotate in. Fine, we get our mini. There's their rally. Okay. We're just gonna wait. I'm not. Why are we fighting these guys? Like, that's rally. Okay. You see how you kind of got your team to push, and I'll go over that again, but if they're not rallying yet, let's look at someone else on your team. Let's look at your Roadhog. He's got pretty good game sense. You see how he's not really remotely going in here? He's really not. He's perfectly happy to leave. Okay, cool. He's going to flank around. He's just going to use the time that he doesn't want to fight this team to kite or to set up for being stronger later in this fight. Like, that's what he's doing. But the fact that you and Doomfist kind of went in sort of forces him to go, oh, I guess we're fighting now. You sort of see how this works, where you had not everything to do with. Your Doomfist also went in, and we could look at your Doomfist. But you're sort of staying in this fight when they have this rally going. It would be great to get a pick on her through her rally, and yes, you're able to do it. You do enough damage per shot. But, like, I just don't want to do this because we're doing this poke thing, and unless you get a very cheeky pick off, if you guys have a poke battle and they walk on you, we're gonna lose. They have this rally going. We can just wait it out. And in no way is this, oh, we're about to lose or anything like that. Like, they popped a stupid early rally. Okay, cool. We'll just wait. Yeah.
Yeah, because also I didn't have any support with like my support, right?
Right.
Didn't
Well,
see me at all.
I don't necessarily mind that your support don't see you because you're on your off angles. That's going to be common that your support can't see you. The only sustain you've got sort of is combat roll, which is an ammo sustain, a tiny bit of a getaway tool. I can live with that, but as a result of that being the case, I generally either want you going for a pick off when they're not yet paying attention to you. So maybe you're firing into them at the, before the fight has started, or I want you to late peek when they're already shooting at your team because you know that you're not going to get sustain except you finding health packs. So, like, you don't want to, and we can go through this again. Here we are. Oh, a little bit further. Here we are. You go through here. You've already taken some damage. I'm probably not walking back into this because, like, I see Arissa's shooting as you're walking back into this. Like, I see this. Oh, Arissa's shooting at me. Cool. What I'm literally trying to do is I'm trying to close this angle for exactly long enough that these guys get bored or are forced to give up on shooting at air and turn and shoot at your team. Like, you can open this angle before your team's here to try to get a pick because you're on an off angle that they're probably not looking down to start. But now they are looking at this angle, and they're going to keep looking at this angle until either they get bored, which could be a second and a half, 3 seconds, something in that range, or until your team forces them to look at them. And if your team is shooting at them, they won't keep looking at this off angle for more than 1.5 to 2 seconds. But I don't immediately want to repeat this if my team isn't fighting their team. And is your team fighting their team right now?
No.
Right. So that would be what I'd usually have to think about. You've got a cheat here of the Orisa is literally still shooting bullets down here. So I definitely know that she's looking this way. So, like, definitely not doing that. This happens. Again, you can look at this, but I'm already looking to get out. Like, I see that diva. I'm already looking to get out. My combat rule is an escape tool right now. We're just done. No, we're not pushing into their dragon. Our team is definitely going to run away during the dragon and rally that are going on now.
So what would be the play? To go back and to... Should I re-peek this after the rally?
Oh, you'd kite this. Or... Yeah, no, you'd kite back here and you'd look at your team through the walls and be like, hey, I can tell, okay, the rally's over. My team is pushing now. And it's, I've not peaked for 4, 5, 6 seconds. Because there was a rally going, or later because of a dragon, whatever. And now I'm willing to push back in. And that I initially tried to get a cheeky pick here. I'm probably not going to be able to get a cheeky pick here until they sort of forget about me. And the strongest way for them to forget about me, and honestly the strongest way to engage in general, would be, hey, I'll let my team, my Orisa, my Roadhog, start fighting them. And that will pull eyeballs to them. And then I'll reopen this. And I can probably get this mini as I reopen this and go for my fight here. Does that make sense?
Because this angle is really close to the spam lane, right?
Yes.
Would it be better to even wait for my team to engage theirs and then peek? Or is it fine to peek before?
So it was fine what you did at the very beginning of you going, hey, my team isn't here yet, but my team is, maybe 4 seconds out. Let me see if I can get a cheeky pick because I can potentially two-shot someone. Let me see if I can get a cheeky pick with a fresh angle that the opponent's side don't know I'm on. If I get that pick, that's amazing. If I don't immediately get that pick, I'm closing this angle and I'm waiting until my team fights. And I want them to I want this angle to refresh based off of my team pulling some attention to them. Like, so it's not wrong that you tried to get a pick before the fight started. You wouldn't want to get a pick like 15 seconds before the fight starts. That just doesn't do enough. But, you know, this was like your team was 4 seconds from engaging, 3 seconds from engaging. That would have been fine, and you will be able to sort of force them to forget about you. I don't care too much whether you just go, I'm going to wait the 3 seconds to let my team engage and then peek, or if you go, I'm going to try to get a peek off and then close the angle if I, you know, either way, really. Yeah.
But it's the difference in the goal, right? Because here I'm picking the off angle before the fight to get a pick.
Yeah.
But during a fight, I will do it so that I take away attention, right? And resources. Not really.
Not exactly. So you'd like to get a pick really either way, right? Like you'd like to get a pick either way, but what happens is if you keep an angle open, or if you keep juggling with an angle, you're less likely to get a pick from it, but you're more likely to turn and keep heads turned towards you, which makes it easier for your team to push. So like if you don't really refresh the angle, don't go take a fresh angle, yes, and you're re-peeking a couple times, what you're doing is you're really baiting attention more than you're expecting to get a pick. Not that you're not trying. If it's fresh, you're more playing for the pick. But ultimately, it's not a huge distinction on your part, because like you're trying to get value either way. You just know that fresh angles are strong. If I can get a fresh angle bonus, I like that. But maybe I want opponents to pay attention to me for a moment to help my team rotate through a tough spot, or to help my team rotate in, or hey, my team is fighting. I don't want to be out of the fight for too long to rotate to a new fresh angle if it's going to take me 8 seconds to get there, for example. It from a macro standpoint, it doesn't actually make a ton of difference to you. That's a much more important thing for a Wrecking Ball or a Diva or whatever to understand than for you as Cassidy to really get right. In terms of when you're helping a rotation versus when you're trying to get a pick, because you don't help rotations very often. Okay. Sure. They're aware of you. You close the angle. You see your team's not pushing, so I'm not going to reopen this angle. You see to your right how your team is not threatening, so I'm just going to keep closing this angle because clearly these guys are aware of you now, and I don't want to 1v4 them or something like that. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So I shouldn't be peeking here, right?
So, well, you shouldn't have kept peeking. So here's how this goes. This is good. We're doing this, whatever. Hey, this happens. And you try to get a quick pick, no problem. I'm done. I didn't get my pick within about 2 shots, and I can see what's going on is my team is not pushing in, or even if they are pushing in, they aren't distracting yet. You see what's going on? So now I want to try as hard as I can to close this angle. What you did to try to get hey, they're paying attention to my team, they're trying to push during the self-destruct, that was perfectly fine, but as soon as you didn't get value immediately and recognize that, oh, they're also not fighting my team, now I want to close the angle. Okay? Cool.
Which I did, but then I re-peeked. This is the bad part. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Or I just die. But I should be aware of the Hanzo anyway, because I saw him at the beginning of the
Right,
fight.
and you had combat roll. You combat rolled this way, and that's fine. You could have combat rolled this way and had your health back to play around. You could have, in theory, combat rolled in here. That's not really better, but like, yeah, I can see your movement that you were starting to open the angle again. Even if you weren't, Hanzo was going to get you, but I'm bringing it up because I can see your movement.
It's
Okay. You can get value as you rotate. Sure. He's not going to give it to you. No! This is fine that you want him, totally fine, but he's clearly not giving it to you, and I'm not going to just keep my crosshair trained on him, because if you were playing Hanzo versus Hanzo, maybe you could make this work. You can see him through the wall, you can pre-line up your shot, whatever, but he has a one-shot and you don't, right? And you can see each other, so he's got the headshot pre-lined up, right?
Yeah.
So this just doesn't make sense.
This is just a really disadvantageous deal I'm taking, right?
Exactly. And if you now went, hey, Maybe I want to repeak him again because I don't think he's paying attention to me, because sure enough, you can see he got bored and is shooting at point again. And if you wanted to peek him and see if it's there, you could potentially justify that. Ultimately, this is over and it doesn't matter, but that's how we think about this. Like, if we're going to solve the Hanzo, it's going to be because he gets distracted. If we're going to beat the Hanzo in a poke fight, it's either going to be because we got the first hit on him, and if we're going to get the first hit on him, it's going to be because he was busy looking at something else. Like, we're not going to just we're not going to take a full health fight at distance against Hanzo. Like, that's when both of us are paying attention to each other. Okay, so we see some things in this. We immediately saw on the first point that, hey, maybe you do have something to pay attention to you with your combat rolls. That's going to be less important than your off-angle play, which I see you're developing, which is really good. But we do want a little bit more awareness of, hey, you're keeping some of these angles open when there's too much attention on you, when your team isn't yet fighting. We saw that here in sort of the second last fight. We saw that back here a couple fights before that, where you're just like, no, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to walk into the Orisa spam that I can literally see. You know, like, you don't have sustain. You have to spend your health wisely, and that mostly means either I'm peeking. That mostly means I'm peeking when you're not paying attention to me. And if I'm fighting you when you're fighting me, my team better also be fighting you. That's basically how that works. But I bet you've got more replay codes for me.
Yeah, I have. One question. Would Hanzo be a better pick here?
I don't have any issue with your Cassidy pick. This is not something where the hero that you're playing is making a huge difference. If you looked at this and said, hey, would I be better off on Hanzo or would I be better off on Cassidy? My answer is that yes, from a macro standpoint, you would be better off on Hanzo than Cassidy. But most of the reason for that is going to be, hey, look at this. Cassidy is really a brawl poke hero, hybrid hero. And who are you stopping from coming in? They're getting some value from having a Cassidy because they have a couple things going for them. One, they have a Doomfist on your team that they need to worry about. Two, they don't necessarily mind walking into fight because they have a Brig. Hanzo is less good than Cassidy at close range. Like, you can get the jump on. Yes, Hanzo can still one-shot you at close range, but at close range, you can get flash, and that's a big deal. That helps. So Hanzo would be slightly better for you, we might say here, if you played both heroes equally, just because you're trying to play in the poke phase, and they don't have any heroes that can force a brawl phase on you. They don't have a Doomfist, a Genji, a Tracer, a Winston, right? Okay. But from a map standpoint, you being on Cassidy is perfectly fine. And from your comp coming out the gate standpoint, this is a perfectly reasonable hero to have picked.
And also, Kree is really strong, right? I mean, Hanzo too, but I think Kree is really strong.
Kree's pretty good. I don't think Kree is like the strongest thing in the world. I think, the aerial role helped him a little bit, don't get me wrong, but he suffered pretty hard with the global hit scan nerf that happened a couple patches ago.
Damage drop-off.
Yeah, I'd say he was one of the stronger DPS before that happened, and now he's a pretty average DPS, maybe a little above average. I wouldn't consider him dominant.
Okay. Here at the end, more to the end, I think it was attacking.
Sure. Let me take a look. This looks like...
When I start playing Hanzo, because I want to look at my Hanzo.
Okay, sure.
So who is the strongest? I saw your post about learning new heroes, and
Sure.
It was Echo, right, and Tracer?
Yeah.
Said Echo is really undervalued?
I think Echo's undervalued, but I don't think that advice necessarily applies to everyone. I think Echo's undervalued because I think we're in a situation where most people haven't actually figured out how good she is yet, because it's just hard for the human brain to handle 3 different aim styles at once. She has fast projectile, very fast projectile, and hit scan, and most people are not very good at their brain swapping between those. It's the same reason some people will play Hanzo and go, I just can't, because they'll either be good at Storm Arrow or they'll be good at regular arrow, and they can't do both type thing. Some people can, don't get me wrong, but a lot of people struggle with that. So I think Echo has some untapped potential that isn't really being taken advantage of, and is kind of she's a good hero right now, but I actually think her cap is probably beyond that. But we're talking like that really applies to the Owl pros who are really pushing it. The ladder is pretty far away from really figuring that one out. So I'd look at that and I'd say, who's good right now? Well, if you look at organized play, again, Tracer, Sombra, Echo, or common DPS. If you look at ladder, you're seeing more poke. And that's going to get you, hey, Hanzo, yes, is in a good place. Hanzo did just get a buff. Hanzo's never been bad since his original rework. Hanzo's in a good place. Ash is in a fine place. I'd say those are both generically stronger heroes than Cassidy right now. But I would say that Cassidy absolutely makes sense in a lot of situations because he can still harden your comp against some of those dive aspects, those wrecking balls, those tracers, those sorts of things that will come in there and still be way better than them in the poke phase. So Cassidy's not a bad hero by any means, but I would, if I was going like, oh, hey, I want to work on someone right now, yeah, someone, like Hanzo might make more sense. So I think he's a fine hero to work on. Okay. Cool. Offense here. Let me jump over.
Yeah, I think it's from the start of the offense
Yeah, no problem.
that I play Hanzo.
I just don't know how much video is. Okay, you guys are good up at pushing third there. And we're almost there. Almost.
We just won, yeah, just won first play.
Yep. Okay, we'll just rewind here and we're good.
Defend objective A.
Sure. I'm gonna just assume that you knew that they didn't have a widow because magic. I mean,
yeah, I looked through the door.
Okay.
I didn't see any widow.
okay,
And they didn't play widow before.
sure. Sure. We're looking at this. You have that sonic arrow and you're choosing not to use it there. Interesting. So here you are. You go for this. You saw that Cassidy there. You don't know that Cassidy's dropped. And I kind of like a sonic arrow up there. I'm not going to lie, because a sonic arrow tells me if Cassidy is hidden in here or hidden in here. And also, this is kind of a place I want to take, right? Like, if I had my way, I'd eventually work over here as Hanzo and just go, hey, it was nice knowing you, right?
Yeah.
So it would warn you about a poke duel that you potentially need to take and could give you the advantage of it in it. And it also helps you understand if it's clear for you to go take. And you don't want to take it yet. You don't have enough distraction. But if your Reinhardt starts just barreling through here and pushing here, you might want to go take this in a hurry. Yeah? Okay. Right idea. Still right idea. Sure. Work on May. Okay.
No need to drop, right?
Not really a need to drop here. Like, I look at this and go, you're doing okay. I don't need to push into this like you just did to go do this. It's not the absolute worst thing in the world. I didn't really need to do it. If I am doing this, I now have a little bit of a concern. I want this angle that you want too, and I'm going to decide that it's safe because my Cassidy's in here. But you don't have a sonic arrow for it. So, we're okay because your Cassidy's in here. There's your sonic arrow. Fine. Sure. You're going to go do this. Yep. Sure. Okay, so you decided immediately that you wanted to sonic arrow this, and I don't know that really helped you. So you do this sonic arrow. That's a little bit further than we want. Fine. You do this sonic arrow, and it looks like you did the sonic arrow just into the Rhine shield, which isn't the best thing in the first place. We'd have preferred to actually hit the wall in this case, but it's fine. You get some damage, and it shows you just about the same thing in this situation. So I'm not worried about it. But hey, I don't really care. I don't need to be able to pre-see these guys. All that sonic arrow is doing for you is it's showing you these guys behind the wall so that you can pre-line up shots as they're walking around opening the angle. But here's the thing.
They are escaping, right? Yeah.
I'm not pre-lining up shots on people that are walking around corners that are opening lanes if there's other people that are on my screen available to shoot at already. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And the Reinhardt's already available on your screen to shoot at, even though it's his shield. I'm happy to shoot at him, so I don't really want to spend my Sonic here. And I also, you could be like, no, Reinhardt's about to be off my screen. Yeah, but once Reinhardt's off your screen, are these guys going to re-peek? Or are they just going to keep
I
backing?
don't care about them, right? Yeah.
Right, they're going to keep
This
backing.
was just me autopiloting, like
Yep.
using Sonic off cooldown, basically.
Right, which is a little bit of a problem because I probably wanted my Sonic to help me check this lane, right? To be like, hey, I want to make sure I'm not walking around the corner into something scary here. You know, there's not actually going to be anything scary here, but we'd like to have it.
I mean, also this angle is really dangerous, so I want to peek it only quickly.
Right.
And with Sonic, I can actually make use of the shots when I...
You got it.
Marked by the dragon.
And I'm honestly not still fighting this. So this is kind of, you did this in the last map a bit too, but you see this where, hey, you're doing this, and I kind of get it, but is your team fighting these guys? You can see them through the wall. Is your team fighting these guys?
No.
So
Here I was more looking for a random headshot, right?
totally get it, but they've got their own Anna who can counter snipe you. They've got a lot of shields. They've got Lucio throwing spam at you. They've got a Mei that can throw icicles at you. You're stronger than them at this range, don't get me wrong, but are you stronger than double shield plus Lucio spam plus scoped Anna plus Mei?
Unlikely I hit anything, right?
It's not so much that it's unlikely that you hit anything, it's they're much more likely to damage or eliminate you than you are them, because they can have 5 people spend attention and resources on dealing with you. And even if they don't eliminate you, let's just say they hit you a few times and now you're at 86 health. Whatever. Who cares how we got there? Some combination of Lucio spam, icicle, whatever.
I mean, yeah.
Okay. Well, now we're in a little bit of an annoying situation because now when your team does start fighting them, you're really hesitant to peek them because anything could take you out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't mind that you, again, if we just go back a little bit here. Did you fight this for a long time? If we go back a little bit here, we'd have liked to have Sonic Arrow. We don't, no big deal. This, totally fine with me. Hey, we're spending this. I don't love how far we walked in. But now I see that my team's not really fighting them. And I'm kind of done. I'm kind of done because, hey, sure, we can get that, but now they're putting tools in here. My team's not fighting them, and I'd really rather wait the 3 seconds until my Reinhardt goes and engages them than keep trying to fight through this, is basically what's going on.
Marked by the
Because,
dragon.
yeah.
So more coordination with the team.
Right, and you don't even have to, like,
Instead
talk
of
to
thinking
them.
I should just wait.
Yeah, literally just wait. Because that's better than you not getting a pick right now. Most of the damage that you do to them, they're going to heal up. If you get picks, that's real, but most of the damage you do to them, if you force cooldowns, that's real, but most of the stuff that you do to them, they're going to be able to recover from, whereas it's a little more awkward for you to recover from that 60 damage that Lucio did to you, right?
Yeah.
See that which is
Okay.
unseen.
I mean, really? We're not? I assumed you came down here because you went, hey, I see enough. I know where they are. I'm sending out a Sonic to give me even more info. And I assumed that a dragon's happening right here, to be perfectly honest.
I don't know if I use it to be honest. Maybe? I mean, yeah, it is. I think I decided not to with how many ults they used.
Okay.
I wasn't quick on it and then just decided if they used nano and then even the freeze, I just didn't use it.
Sure. I mean, I'm looking at this. I'm pretty happy. You could say, oh, hey, we have the window, so we don't need it. But I think we need it. And I don't think this fight is over. I don't think this fight is remotely over. I think a dragon is plenty to make these guys unhappy. Yeah, unfortunate.
I just wasn't quick enough with it, and then after this... there's
Yep.
no reason.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't do it anymore. Now it's over.
Yeah,
Like, as soon as she spends that blizzard, you're done. But... Oh, yeah? That's quite the
I mean,
Sonic
nothing
hero.
can reach
I
me
know.
then, yeah. I just wanted to make sure, because I'm basically alone, right? My whole team
Yep.
is there.
Lucio's gonna bother you. Oh, no, Sigma. Yeah, there we go. Sure. They'll get you. Yep. And you're gonna go for a behind them play. Fine. Hurry your butt up in there because she's going.
Through the dragon's eyes.
Yeah, this wasn't really the best dragon, I don't think.
It wasn't.
Maybe a bit to the maybe a bit to the right, maybe, but still.
I really look at this and go, I know my team's pushing. They just threw a self-destruct. My team's walking. They're clearly walking. You spend a lot of time fighting this Anna, and I don't really know that I wanted to do that. Like, okay, now we drove her back, but I'm going to be honest. I look at this and go, maybe I just set up for a strong thing once this high noon is over, because I would like my team to push and fight during the dragon. I'd like to split them. I would like them to be running around like chickens with their heads cut off during the dragon, that sort of thing. I could just try to be like, no, I'm trying to answer your high noon with it, but I'm probably looking at this and just going, let me just get a better spot. Like, this dragon from here is just going to be like, what are you going to do about it? Like, what are you going to do about it, red team? And the answer is die. Instead, you do this, you've made them super aware of you, and this dragon just, you know, it's okay, but they're really already pretty much in front of it. You're getting some value. Their Anna split. Their Anna can't really do it. It's an okay dragon, but we could have had, like, it's a 6 out of 10 dragon, and we could have had an 8 out of 10 dragon. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah, because I dragon when I only saw 3 people, right? And dragon is about, like, positioning of the enemy team.
Yeah, it's about positioning of the enemy team. I don't need your dragon to hit all of them, but I do want a situation where you know it creates a split that your team can push into, and your team could have pushed into that harder than they did, don't get me wrong, but the dragon also could have been stronger to give them more confidence to push in.
Yeah. So again, team coordination.
Yep. But again, this team coordination, like, isn't all just about, oh, I need to calm them, I need to tell them what I'm doing. I'm doing all this.
Me looking at them. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, this is ladder. I'm not talking to them.
Yeah.
I think I'm dead.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
You found a Cassidy on it. This is what he's better than you at.
But going behind wasn't a misplay, right?
No, going behind was absolutely right.
Just the dragon was a bit of a misplay, but after that, I felt like my team. I don't know why my team didn't push in.
Yep, and you're just gonna scratch your head about that one forever. I mean, that's the sort of thing where you just sort of go, okay, like, my dragon could have been better, absolutely, but they still should have pushed in. I'm dragging Sigma back here. You know, obviously, if we hit this shot on Anna, that helps. But hey, whatever. Yeah. And now we're looking at this and going, this is pretty good. We probably just go, hey, whatever. We spent these. I don't actually know that I leave here. These guys are actually in a rough spot where if you can just tuck in here, you don't have to leave. Where they're in this like, hey, if they have to come chase you, that does give your team more confidence to walk in. Now, your team probably isn't going to walk because they don't have a tank. They have a, Korean and a tank that's in spawn that, apparently that's not going to work. The Korean girl plus the big, bulky tank in spawn isn't going to be enough. They might need that mech. But, hey, your Cassidy is gonna get more aggressive. Your BAP is gonna open the angle harder and shoot. If these guys turn around to deal with you, or if they see them running, you going and running over here is like, okay, they can't really tell what's going on anymore. So I would have preferred.
I didn't even think of staying back because I would stagger myself really hard if they actually chased me. And I didn't have much sustain. I had 50 HP less anyway, and the Mega is really.
Yeah, the Mega's not an option for you. The Mega's not an option for you, for sure. And it's true. You could stagger yourself really bad. You're already staggered kind of bad, though, if I'm being perfectly honest. So I'm in this situation where I'm like, hey, let me create this situation where you coming for me is super obvious and gives my team some confidence to let me create a situation where rather than get like, you're in a situation where you're badly staggered, and you could get staggered even worse, but in getting staggered even worse, you could actually create a trade. You could create a, hey, my Cassidy is pretty able, or my BAP is pretty able to get a pick on them in the back as they're chasing me type thing.
By the dragon.
I mean, yeah, just taking a risk when I'm desperate, right?
Yep.
Because here I am pretty desperate.
Yep.
I am not deterred.
I'm under attack.
See through the dragon's eyes.
Hit.
My aim is true.
Sure. Oh yeah, gotta lower that accuracy number. Why? So like, you're doing this, whatever, else sort of deal. He's gone. He's not gonna repeat you. I'm done. I'm so beyond done. Like, my team isn't fighting these guys. This could be useful. If this pulled these guys back to fight you when your team was then able to push, that would be one thing. Is your team anywhere near being able to push?
No.
So you're brute forcing this. And like, look how long you decide to take this fight. So let's go here where this fight is over. You use the sonic arrow. You decide I want to fight them again. This isn't really a fresh angle anymore. They know you're here. Okay, you get that. You're trying to fight him. It's over. He's gone. I'm done. I don't care that you have 2 storm arrows left. You're not going to win. Like, yes, it's theoretically possible, but you're going to be up against too many eyeballs looking at you for you to brute force a pick. You're much more likely to get eliminated or at least get lower on health, which then makes things harder when your team actually is ready to push. And here you are doing it again. You see this as a pure habit where it's like, there's no awareness of like, when this was a fresh angle and they didn't know you're here, absolutely try to get a cheeky pick. Now you're trying to brute force your way through some
Anna, but
right.
If I get Anna, they for sure know where I am then.
Right. But that's fine because they can't really punish you up here unless you keep opening the angle and going for more before your team does.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna pick a signal.
See that which is unseen. See through
Sure. Okay, I have a pretty good idea of where they are.
Activating self-destruct sequence. All systems
No, no!
Yeah.
So this happens, and I am like actively waiting for your sonic arrow to come up right now. Do you know why I'm actively waiting for your sonic arrow to come up?
Because of the left flank.
Exactly. You either need to use this to enable a dragon strike, and that did not enable a dragon strike. Like, you did not get any information off of that before you used your dragon strike here, so that was not a sonic arrow to enable your dragon strike. Or you needed to use the sonic arrow to check this flank to determine if you could walk through this flank, because I bet standing here and sending a dragon strike through them would have been pretty good, right? Yeah.
Just more patience. And gathering information, right?
Sonic arrow is pretty good for that. One of the better scouting tools in the game.
Yeah, no, I just died for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you know the streamer MC.
Oh, is the
Do
stream...
you know him?
What's that?
No, a streamer. Like he also does like VOD reviews. MC. He's called.
Oh, yeah, no, I know him. Yeah.
Yeah. He said about my McCree that I need more patience, and I guess this applies here also, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't
more patience.
phrase it necessarily as patience, I'd say, but that's fine, a fine way to phrase it. What I'd phrase it at is, you're getting the beginning of angles, and that's good, you're thinking more about angles, but the 2 key fundamentals of Overwatch, obviously, yes, we want mechanics, we want pressure, we want these things, but like 70% of Overwatch is angles and timing. And you're getting your angles mostly right now, so now you've got to get your timing right. And your timing is mostly going to be, when is my team also threatening them? I can't sustain, I don't have a Sigma shield, I can't just poke these guys whenever I want. I either need a fresh angle that they're not aware of me to get a cheeky pick, or I need my opponents to sort of feel pressured by my main team so they feel like they can't pay a ton of attention to me. And then I'm going to have a few seconds to try to make work happen. Like, timing is going to be your next thing, and it's timing it to your team's engagements. But yeah, you could call it patience. It's just exactly that, understanding, hey, what does my team status look like?
So more calculated play. Right?
There's a lot of thinking involved in Overwatch.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
New objective. Get the
See
payload moving.
that which is unseen. I need healing.
Fine, and I'm gonna go find a new angle.
Yeah, yeah. Here is occupied, right? I would go right side, but
I'd
I still go
have probably said go right, but hey, you go here.
I mean,
At
yeah.
least you use this correctly to go, hey, it's safe. And I like that. Okay.
Help me.
Sure. We're trying. Ultimately, you played this fight correctly. You just didn't hit any shots. Like, I'm not
Yeah,
worried
yeah,
about this
yeah.
one where it's like, hey, we, didn't hit the Anna with our storm shot, arrow shots. We went up here. We're trying to weave. They're paying a lot of attention to us. Like, if we look at their Cassidy in this fight, if we look at their Cassidy in this fight, we're going to see that he doesn't get a ton done because he's too busy playing this fight against you. He gets maybe 3 shots on Reinhardt there. 2 more shots on the shield.
Yeah, well, I am. Yeah.
He's just not getting much done, but you're just not hitting the shots. Like, he's trying to pay a ton of attention to you, but you're just not hitting the shots, and that's all that's going on here. So, that was good on your part from a conceptual standpoint.
Yeah. And this should get better because I only recently
Yep.
started playing Kanzo more.
Yep. Makanzo. I got it.
Yeah.
It's a franchise of McCree.
I mean, they play similarly when it comes to taking angles, right?
They do, yes. Hanzo's going to be thinking a little bit more vertical. McCree is going to be thinking a little bit more, hey, I'd sort of like to go shorter rotations because he's slow. Hanzo, don't get me wrong, doesn't move super fast either, but has that vertical advantage. But they are both going to be looking for angles, yes.
See that which is unseen.
Let them up.
Sure. Good. Change your mind here. Okay.
30 seconds remaining.
This happens. I don't think this fight is going well. I think you can win this fight, but I think this fight is about to go poorly because I don't think you can stop that flux. Agreed?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So at this point, I'd rather just invest the extra 2 seconds to rotate over here and hugely increase my odds of getting a pick on these guys who won't be paying attention to you. If I peek from here again, I can peek from here again a lot faster and get back in the fight, but it's really that the team's already paying attention in this direction. All of the enemy team are already going to be looking this way because they want to follow up and support their Sigma's ultimate, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of a lot more interested, and it's going to lift them up to the point where you go, oh, hi, Cassidy. Nice to see you, buddy. What are you doing up here? Okay, maybe not Cassidy, but you see what I'm saying? Where I'd really rather give up 2 seconds to go here and go, hey, I have a pretty strong possibility of getting a pick from here.
30 seconds.
Whereas repeaking this, it's just hard. It's just hard. Now we're chasing a Cassidy and going, hey, don't flash me, bro. There we go.
My arrow finds its mark.
Yeah, I didn't really like going there because I didn't like the angle, like from top. I felt like it would give me a good sight line, but it's hard to like hit a shot, and it's also the Sigma was a Smurf, so I was pretty scared of him.
Sure. But, Smurf or not, he can bounce shots, sure, but like you're not getting me in here, buddy.
Right?
Like,
Yeah.
You've got cover options. And yes, I agree. This is an awkward shot. If you haven't practiced aiming down a fair bit, this is an awkward shot. On the other hand, shooting down is still just good. It makes their head bigger as a proportion, surface area to body ratio for your headshots, which we like our headshots a lot as Hanzo. We control cover when we have high ground. You know the drill.
10 seconds remaining.
Okay. Okay. I hope left is clear. I see that right Diva has under control. You're going to help that out. Fine.
Payload has reached
Oh, I hope left is clear. Okay.
See through the dragons.
Reinhardt. I'm not sure why you're jumping forward while you're purple, but okay. There we go.
Probably greed.
Probably. Okay, you can be supported from here. You're fine. Less interested in that arrow, but I'll take it. Right idea. Okay, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
There you go, and now you're gonna hit your dragon. Wow, okay. You're trying to protect them with it. Fine.
I have taken.
And this is just something you want to be thinking about. Where, hey, you went like this. I don't really have an issue with anything that you've done here, but you do. I just heard that Kree footstep. Part of why I can hear that Kree footstep is I'm prepped for it. I'm worried about someone going this direction because remember how you just sent a dragon through here?
Yeah. That forces people right side.
It literally forces them to go here and like
Yeah.
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 It's also good naturally for him to go there, but hey,
I mean, he has the same job as I do, right?
he does. He does, and he likes this one better because this is a little bit more of an enclosed space where he gets that flashbang dominance. So he likes, you know, this shorter sight line a little bit better. Well, he thought he had flashbang dominance.
Yeah, I had the numbers to back me up.
30 seconds.
Okay,
Time grows
no big
short.
deal.
Do not let it go to
Just go
waste.
left. Good.
Yeah, but I don't have healing when I still go, so...
Yeah.
Because this is going badly, right?
Yeah, no, but this is correct that you go, hey, this isn't
Yeah,
working. I'm going to take this angle to see if I can make something happen because if I don't make something happen, we're already not going to finish this
Yeah,
point. in this
that's
push.
why I went even with 50 HP, right?
Exactly.
One shot. Yeah.
Yeah. But you aren't able to find Deanna. We're done. We're done. Okay. Where this is stuck is last fight. I'm worried someone's about to get you from behind. Oh, what do you know?
Yeah.
Just
This
like
is a
you
bit of
like
a
off
tunnel
angles.
vision. Yeah.
It is. Just like you like those off angles, one of the unfortunate things about taking off angles more often is you kind of remind the opponents to do it. Like, oh, right, let me go push this angle back. So
It's a high demand area, right?
right. So you need to get some value on your off angles while you're on them because your opponents are going to accidentally start taking them themselves as they try to push you out. Okay.
Okay, but I didn't do too badly, right? I
No,
should
you
hit
did.
more shots.
Yeah, right. Like
There
your
were some
Hanzo
fun-
does need to hit more shots, no question. But mostly, like, you know, more shots are going to help your Hanzo. Your Cassidy's, you know, doing fine on that regard. But hey, that's a Hanzo thing. But like both of your heroes, what you're gonna see the biggest gains on, if you can keep this angle play up, is now just matching your timing a bit more. So remember, you can peak when your team is pressuring the other team, fighting them in some way, or you can peak when your angle is fresh. If your angle is fresh, you can go for a cheeky pickoff. If your angle isn't fresh, as in, you know, they don't know that you're there yet, you haven't used the angle yet, you can't really peak unless your team is fighting. Make sense?
Yeah. And also just don't repeat 3 times. I'll really think about it.
Yeah, like I don't really need you to repeak 3 times. If you're repeaking the same angle 3 times while your team is fighting, that's not going to bother me as long as you're giving, like, you know, hey, let me give them a second and a half, 2 seconds to forget about me each time, because they really can't afford to keep looking at your angle, right? But I can't repeat the same angle 3 times. Like, I literally can't repeat the angle if it's not fresh. I can't repeat an angle as Cassidy, for example, that my opponents know I have. It gets a little bit funkier in sniper v sniper play when you're playing like Hanzo v Hanzo, Hanzo v Widow, where it's like, hey, I am going to repeat this angle even though you know I'm here because I've pre-Sonic'd you, or because I didn't have Sonic Hero before, but now I do, and I'm going to risk getting the Sonic Hero out there, and now I'm so much better than you at poke that I am willing to potentially repeat it because I have Sonic. You see where I'm going with this, but that's some more special sniper v sniper 1v2, not 1v4 type situation. Yeah. So that's going to be the single biggest thing, this like understanding when you can peak. And I think you can get this. I think this is going to make sense to you in terms of something that's a little bit more Hanzo specific. We would look at your Sonic Arrow usage. You're a little too willing to just yeet it into the enemy team when, don't get me wrong, that's helpful if you want to be able to peek from behind cover and continue shooting at them. But that's one use of your Sonic Arrow, and I don't want you to always go for that use of the Sonic Arrow when there's a higher use of your Sonic Arrow of, for example, you don't have flashbang. You can't walk down angles without fear, so you need to Sonic angles sometimes before you walk through them so that you don't run into Cassidys, so that you don't run into Roadhogs, things like that. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
And
something...
also Dragon with more information, right?
Dragon with more information, and you're using your Sonic Arrow for that information. You're using your team's movement for that information. You can see when your team is in combat. You can see if your Reinhardt is swinging his hammer or not. You can see if your Genji is using deflect or not. You can have a better idea of whether they're in combat or not, and that gives you some of the information for your Dragon. And then back on your Cassidy, again, we talked about it, be a little bit more conscious of this this roll reload habit that you have here of roll, shoot, reload, wait, what are you doing type thing. But yeah. So that's probably what I'd say I'd want you to work on. Again, that first thing applies to both of the heroes, gonna be huge for you, definitely what you need to work on, and then we gave you a little bit of a smaller piece for each of the others there. So do you have questions about any of those, any of this, anything that maybe we didn't go over here?
I often find myself like frustrated against Echo Mercy and Pharaoh Mercy.
Sure.
Anything I could do outside of just like aiming perfectly and double headshotting them?
Yeah, why not just double headshot them, man? I mean, like, what are you doing? No, okay.
I
So
do that sometimes.
So here's the thing, like, you need to just in some ways not get frustrated because like the pharmacy or the Echo Mercy, remember that is a 2v1. You can still beat them, but that is a 2v1. You're really looking to do a little bit more of, hey, I don't need to constantly be fighting them. I need to be fighting them when they can fight my team, when my team can't pay attention to them. If your team dies to a pharmacy, when the pharmacy is the only thing shooting at them and they're shooting at them from the skybox, you just look at them and go, okay, what did you want me to do about it? Like, I really don't care if they die to the pharmacy when the pharmacy is the only thing shooting at them. The time that the pharmacy or the Echo Mercy specifically needs to be contested is when the rest of their team is also fighting. So keep that in mind and worry less about I've constantly got to keep them busy and worry more about, hey, my team is rotating through a kill box. Now I need to immediately whip my head up and look for this because I know this is when the Pharah or the Echo is going to come in, that sort of thing. I'm really not very worried if your team in the poke phase, for example, goes down to a Mercy boosted Pharah or Echo. My response is, why didn't you dodge Pharah's slow moving rockets? Or, you know, Echo's playing from a million miles away because, you know, she has to because of her mobility until the actual commit phase, and it's the commit phase that I want her checked during. Does that all make sense?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I didn't think of that. I think that would be useful. Cool. Also, one thing, when my team plays dive, I have a lot of experience on Genji, but this is mostly like deathmatch experience, so I'm really good with 1v1s, but my Nano Blade is pretty lacking, and also Genji is just not a good hero right now, I don't think, right?
He's not, it's true.
Yeah. And so I struggle a bit with my hero options when playing dive. My Kree with dive isn't really too good, right?
So no, but it actually isn't the worst thing in the world either. So here's the thing. Modern dive, if we're truly talking modern dive, is frequently going to use, there's a ball version of it that is frequently going to use Zen Brig and maybe a Diva or a Sigma. And there's a Winston version of it that is going to use Anna Brig and whatever. And here's the thing. The Winston version of it plays pretty slow and plays for its ults a bit. And you can kind of go, hey, as my Winston goes in, I don't need to go when my Winston goes in. I can go take an angle when my Winston goes in. And then when my Winston goes in a second time, maybe with Nano this time, maybe with Primal, maybe just for a harder dive, maybe Tracer goes with him, whatever. I have an angle and I can contribute to this fight and this is pretty cool. Or you can go, hey, I know that when my Winston goes in with his nano, my Anna, Brig, Zarya is also going to walk in, and I'm just going to stand on top of them, and we're going to be stupid. Because I have Flashbang, Brig has Bash, I'll be getting Inspire healing, we have a Zarya, and this is just, we're a bulky, tanky, brawl type unit, and you sort of play it almost as if you're like, not actually how you play in Brawl as Cassidy, but you play it as if you're going, hey, we're just going to be a stupid Brawl unit that's going to walk around. And you can kind of do the same thing with the Ball Zen version. So if you see that your team has a Brig, I wouldn't be super worried about being on Cassidy. It's not my favorite thing in the world, but I wouldn't be too worried about being on it. That said, for standard play, I would say Hanzo is better with the comp, and you just slot Hanzo in and go, hey, I'll go take some off angles, but they'll be shallow enough off angles that I can get a repair pack, I can get a harmony orb, and I'm going to treat Zen like a poke DPS, and I want to be in a place where if I get dove, Zen can shoot at the person who's diving me. Cool.
Or just learn Tracer, right? But that's like...
Learning Tracer is the right answer, but, you know, do you have 300 hours?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Same with Widow. I struggle because I wanted to learn Widow, but she's such a specific character.
It would be
I feel
great
like
to be
this-
good at
you're
those
either
four
a
maps
Widow-
that we're good.
Yeah, you're either a Widow player or no, right?
Yeah, that's kind of the thing. It's sort of like,
So
it's
I picked up Hanzo.
There you go. He's a little more flexible. Cool.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and...
Yeah, I just work with this.
Perfect.
I think I can work with